I'm Amy Jones, writer and performer of the Fringe show Shrew, which is on every day at the Fringe at C-Cubed at 8:30 p.m. Yeah.
Great. And so the show Shrew, and the main character's name is Katerina. It's
Yes, that's
about
right.
taming the shrew.
It is about taming the shrew. It's I don't like to call it an adaptation of Taming the Shrew. It's more kind of a response to the text, if that's not too pretentious.
Not at all.
It's kind of a response to her, and it's her on stage. She's aware that she's a fictional character. She knows she's from a play. She looks back on the events that happened from the play, and sometimes she's funny, sometimes she's sad, sometimes she's a bit repulsive. So it's kind of about taming the shrew. It's also a bit about me having a quarter-life crisis recently, and about how I think all of us end up in places in our lives which we don't expect to end up in, or necessarily want to end up in. And how we kind of stop sometimes and think, how did I get here, and how do I get out of here? Yeah, so yeah,
That's great. And so it's a solo show, and I mean, I've always thought that a solo show, there's nowhere to run and there's nowhere to hide, and it's kind of the hardest form. And I also have noticed vaguely that there seems to be less women doing them, but you may disagree?
Yeah, I don't know, it's funny you say that, because actually it was partially inspired by, or I was motivated to do it by, kind of a few really incredible one-woman shows I came across. So Fleabag, which was huge at the Fringe last year, was a one-woman show. And there was actually another one-woman show I saw at the Fringe last year called La Murder, which again is just these two women, kind of both again slightly crazy women, just on stage talking about their lives. And I don't know, I guess there is kind of a lot of stuff like that. But and this year there's like an incredible range of stuff. There's a one-woman show called Tea Time Story, which is on at Zoo Venues, which is being put on by a Chinese girl who grew up in Hong Kong, which is where I grew up, which is really exciting. We met each other and stuff like that. It is a bit of a tough genre to do. I guess it's not really, everyone always asks, like, oh, how did you learn the lines? Like, the lines wasn't too bad. It's more about having to have the energy to put it on yourself, if that's not too corny. It's just, when you're on stage with an actor, you can kind of feed off each other a bit and rely on each other a bit. When it's just you got to provide all the emotional gravitas, all the kind of power. I think that's the most daunting thing about it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you must miss the camaraderie of having like a huge cast.
Yeah, so I was in Edinburgh 3 years ago performing. That was the last time I performed, and we had a cast of like 12, 14 people in like a 4-bedroom flat. It was a really classic Edinburgh experience, like people sleeping everywhere. And it was really, really fun and mental in a way. But at the same time, there is something quite nice about having a small team. So it's just me, my director, and my producer. So you do sort of miss the wildness of a huge flat. What I don't miss is how unhygienic it can get. If you've got 14 people in a 4-bedroom flat.
Yeah, queues for the shower.
Yeah, exactly. I also miss having a huge team called the Flyer, because it has been tough, like with 3 people hitting the streets flying. But yeah.
I've seen your posters around, so
Cool.
you know.
Good.
Great. And seeing as you're an old hat, some advice for the first time Fringer?
Advice for the first time Fringer. I'd say pace yourself, because I know I'm really bad at this. I always get really worried. Even now I'm really worried. I keep thinking, like, am I having enough fun? Am I having enough fun? Like, am I doing enough? And I have to keep reminding myself, I've still got 20 days here. Like, I've got plenty of time to like party and see all the shows I want to see. Just take it easy. And kind of in the same vein, like, don't worry if you have like a terrible, like, awful day. Like, everyone will have at least one day at the Fringe where they think, what am I doing here? The good days will come and you'll have an amazing time. But I just say that because sometimes you feel like everyone's having an incredible time except you sometimes. That sounds really negative, but it is amazing. You'll have a great time. And see everything. Go to like a random weird venue and ask what's on, and just, because it's not a Fringe experience unless you've seen like a handful of really abysmal plays as much as you see like incredible plays. And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Great. Right, well, thanks so much.
Thank you.